It's sometimes said in trying to describe non-dual seeing, which is in any case trying to describe the indescribable, that silence and sound are the same thing, and stillness and movement are the same thing. Now, this sounds like a blatant contradiction, or at the very least, maybe some kind of extreme paradox, but in fact, it's neither of these things. It is simply an attempt to put into words something which is apprehended, but which cannot, of course, actually be put into words. So these two phrases are an attempt to literally state what is seen in non-dual awakening, that there is, if you like, only silence and only stillness, but silence and stillness manifest as sound and movement. So no matter how much sound and movement there may be, there is always also silence and stillness. Now, when this is seen, it exposes as a kind of nonsense the idea that I, as an individual, as a person, need to seek out silence and stillness in special places which I might consider to be more sacred, because they have more peace about them, because they have more silence and stillness about them. It kind of exposes as simply a story the idea that I might need to perhaps go to a holy place in India to find silence and stillness, when actually silence and stillness are everywhere. So it may be noticed that standing in the busiest part of the busiest city that I know, there is just as much silence, there is just as much stillness as there may be if I am standing in a monastery. If I'm standing in Piccadilly Circus in London, as the traffic swirls about me and pedestrians rush past me, that is just as silent and just as still as the holiest monastery in Japan or the holiest meditation room in India. Ram Tzu, Wayne Lickerman's alter ego, wrote that as a seeker, we believe that enlightenment can only be found in a land which does not have indoor toilets. And that's another way of expressing what I'm trying to express here. As seekers, we tend to feel that there is a specialness which can only be found in a very special place. I was once told by someone in a tone of utmost reverence that there is a temple in Japan where there has been uninterrupted chanting for 800 years. And this was told to me again in a tone of extreme reverence. So always with stories like this, there is a kind of implicit and sometimes explicit suggestion that there are special places which are especially holy and where we may therefore be touched with a special kind of spirituality. Actually, everywhere and nowhere is special. Everywhere and nowhere is silent. Everywhere and nowhere is still. Everywhere is an outpouring of, let us say, unconditional love. So There's no need to seek out special silence, special still, and special sacred places. Although if we feel drawn to doing that, there's also, of course, nothing wrong with doing that. And if we're drawn to that, that may well arise. And yet it may be noticed that walking through the busiest part of the busiest city, or perhaps driving along the busiest part of the busiest motorway even, there is still just as much stillness and just as much silence as there could be anywhere, because that is all there ever is, manifesting as everything that seems to be happening.